Abita beer is made in the brew house, which isn't an actual building, but the name for all of the equipment used in the process of brewing. Nearby, in the brew house control room, the entire brewing process is monitored by computer and automated to ensure the quality and consistency of the product and the efficiency of the process. The first step in making beer is combining the barley with fresh, warm spring water. This combination is called the mash, and the mixing and heating is done in a large vessel called the mash tun. The warm water activates the enzymes in the barley, and the starch in the barley is converted into sugars. Controlling the temperature of the water changes the body and sweetness of the final product. The mash is then transferred to another vessel called the lauter tun. The lauter tun has a perforated steel plate on the bottom of the vessel that's like a colander or sieve. The sweet liquid component of the mash, called the wort, is extracted, and then hot water is sprayed over the grain bed in a process called sparging. All the liquid is collected at the bottom of the lauter tun and is transferred to another large vessel for boiling, called the merlin. Our revolutionary new boiling system was imported from Germany. The Abita Brewing Company was the first brewery outside of Europe to use the merlin system. Instead of applying heat to the bottom of the container, like boiling water in a pot at home, the wort is moved over a heated cone inside the merlin, which boosts the temperature of the wort and speeds up the brewing process. This heated cone is somewhat unique to the American brewing process. Its cooking method is gentler on the sugars in the beer, reduces the boiling time, and is kinder to the environment because it's 70% more energy efficient. Hops are added to the wort at different stages of the boiling process, giving some of our beers a pronounced hop flavor. Bittering hops are added at the first stage of the boil to offset the natural sweetness of the wort. Flavoring hops are added later on in the boil to add a well-rounded hop flavor. At the end of the boiling process, more hops are added for additional aromas. When the boil is complete, the wort is run through a whirlpool process to separate the solids from the liquids. Proteins and hops are removed, and clear wort is extracted and moved into fermentation vessels. Huge special pipes and hoses are used to transfer the cooled wort across the brewhouse and into the cellar where the tanks reside. During this process, yeast is added to the cooled wort and fermentation begins. There are two types of yeast used in brewing: lager yeast and ale yeast. Lagers ferment from the bottom of the vessel at colder temperatures and make a smoother, well-rounded beer. Ales ferment from the top at warmer temperatures and produce a beer with more esters. Esters are compounds that produce pleasant aromas like fruit and cloves. During fermentation, the yeast consumes the sugars in the beer and produces alcohol and CO2. This process can take anywhere from 4 to 14 days, depending on the brew being made. When 85% of the sugars in the tank have been consumed, the tank is closed and the remaining CO2 is captured, and that's what gives the beer its natural carbonation. The aging process of the beer begins when the temperature inside the climate-controlled tanks is dropped to around 32 degrees Fahrenheit. As the beer ages, the yeast settles and separates from the beer. The aging process for each one of Abita's brews is different, ranging from 14 days to 3 months. Some Abita beers, like Giacomo IPA and Restoration Pale Ale, are moved to a secondary aging tank where more hops are added. This process is called dry hopping and gives the brew an intense hop flavor and aroma. After aging, the beer is ready to be filtered, which removes yeast and microproteins from the beer, and this is what gives it its brilliance. When filtration is complete, the beer is moved to the bright beer holding tank in preparation for the bottles or kegs. Abita beer is bottled on our automated bottling line, capable of producing 160 bottles of Abita beer per minute. New unlabeled glass bottles enter the line and are rinsed clean in preparation for filling. Air is forced out of each bottle by 2 rapid blasts of carbon dioxide to preserve the taste of the beer. Each bottle is filled, topped with a metal cap, and labeled. All Abita beer is laser dated on the bottle and 6-pack wrapped for freshness. Kegs of Abita beer are filled by our automated keg system with exact standards for each type of keg. Every keg is cleaned, sterilized, and purged with CO2 before filling. Cases and kegs are then placed in cold storage for no more than 7 days. And now your Abita beer is ready to roll. Shipped to our distributors for placement in stores, bars, and restaurants all over the country by our fleet of refrigerated 18-wheelers.